So what's the difference between coping with anxiety and overcoming anxiety? Sometimes people think when they're coping with it that means they're overcoming it. But there's a big difference. And I want to talk about that. Hey everybody, it's Steve from stevezanella.com. How are you today? So the difference between coping with anxiety and overcoming anxiety is pretty big. It's a pretty big difference. For years, I coped with my anxiety. I suffered with severe anxiety almost on a daily basis. I was crippled by severe panic attacks. They impacted every part of my life, socially, professionally, romantically, everything. My life was completely ruled by my anxiety and my panic disorder. And over the years, I got really good at hiding it. I got really good at avoiding situations that I knew would trigger my anxiety, would trigger my panic attacks. And I would do different things to cope. I had lots of little coping mechanisms that would help me get through situations. But I wasn't really dealing with my anxiety. I wasn't really addressing the cause of the anxiety. And that is truly the difference between coping and overcoming. When you cope, you're dealing with just the symptoms of your anxiety and your panic, your fear and your worry. When you work on truly understanding and overcoming your anxiety, what you need to do is look deep within yourself to find the root cause of your anxiety. In most cases, there's some sort of either traumatic event, some sort of painful memory, some sort of situation that took place at some point that put you on this path of feeling anxious, of feeling nervous, uncomfortable, worried. Until you look deep inside yourself and find that root cause and then address that, you're never truly going to overcome your anxiety. You're always going to simply be dealing with the symptoms that come on from it. And my personal experience with this was that it was very difficult to address some of the things in my past that really upset me, that really hurt me, because I felt as though if I buried them down deep enough, I wouldn't feel that pain anymore. But the truth is, that pain, if it's not dealt with, doesn't go away. You can't bury it deep enough, because what happens is that it eventually resurfaces as something else. And for most of us, for me specifically, it resurfaced as anxiety, as panic attacks. My unresolved issues became my anxiety, became the cause of why I felt the way I felt and the things that I experienced. And it didn't truly start to go away. I didn't truly start to understand and learn how to overcome it rather than just cope with it until I got honest with myself. And for me, I had to reach sort of a rock bottom. My life had gotten so bad that I didn't really care what happened. I didn't care what happened to me. I knew I needed to fix something. I knew I needed to make some major, drastic changes. And it became well, if I'm going to go through it, I might as well go through all of it. And that's what I did. I brought up all that pain, all that hurt, all that anger. I gave it a name. I dealt with it. I stopped hiding from it. I faced it. And once I did that, I finally understood what fueled my anxiety. And I, for the first time, began to overcome it. I began to understand why it was there, what it was doing. And once I understood that, I was able to start moving past it. And then, as I started to feel anxious, my mind recognized it for what it was, and it started to dissipate on its own. I didn't have to put so much effort, so much energy into avoiding situations or dealing with my anxiety. And then as I got better and better at dealing with it, I started to talk about it more. Because now I was no longer afraid of those things that had happened, those issues that I dealt with and that I tried to hide, the issues that I hadn't dealt with. Once I started, I found a confidence that I didn't know that I even had. And then once you find that confidence, it becomes contagious. It begins to build in your life. And that's when I started really saying, you know what? I have anxiety. I have panic attacks. And it was when I started sharing my story and talking to people was when my life really started to change. When I really started to realize that by hiding, I was putting more pressure on myself. And as soon as I took away the fear of what would happen if people found out I suffered from anxiety, if people found out that I wasn't normal, when that fear was gone, there was nothing left. It's like, yeah, so my biggest fear I faced, I put it out there. What do you have to say to that? World, universe, other people. There was nothing they could say. And then suddenly, I had become free. So that's really the difference between simply coping with your anxiety and overcoming it, is that feeling of freedom. And until you really look deep inside and find that cause, you're never going to be free. You may learn to cope with it. But if you truly want to be free of your anxiety, you need to do the work. You need to look deep inside. You need to find the cause. And you need to bring it out into the light. That's what I did. That's what I suggest you do. And I'm here to help. If you have any questions, if you'd like to learn more about anything that I went through, if you'd like to share your story with me, I would love to hear it. So please send me an email, steve@stevezanella.com. Hit me up, Instagram, Twitter, SCZanella. You can find me there. I also started a little Snapchat. Check it out. I'd love to hear from you, see what you've got going on. All right, guys, that's it. Have an amazing day. I love you all, and we'll talk again soon.